Hey guys, so we're back with another video. So guys, this is the video that I was talking about. This is going to be called the Primal Days of Adonaeus. Now this episode of this video is going to be very heavy based on the context of the Bleach 1000-Year Blood War or Core 3, what we have learned, and some little snippets history that we've learned from the Soul King itself. I've been saying this for the past couple of videos. I feel as if something very dark is approaching the Bleach universe. Ever since we got to see more of the Soul King and the history just a little bit, we're getting more and more uneasiness towards what the Soul King backstory is, besides the connection he has towards the noble families and Ichibei being the last member of the old world, right? He's the only one that is still alive. We got a little snippet from the Soul King's perspective, his eyes. So his eyes has this multi-universal color, which is the original Almighty. Now, this Almighty is different compared to what Yhwach has, even though Yhwach is the son of the Soul King, but it seems as if this Almighty is even more powerful, more cunning when it comes to like abilities, even a shell of himself where we've seen him in present time. The Soul King's eyes, how powerful it is, and he's able to see the past, the present, and the future at the same time, having four distinct pupils on four corners of his eyes, making it 8, and sitting on this bluish chrysalis form that he is engulfed in. When he was stabbed by his son, the color turns to red. Now, let me explain the two properties that I think that governs those two things. Now, we know the two parts of the Soul King allowed the Soul King to function. We know that the Soul King has multiple parts of himself that allows him to connect to other parts in the universe. When we saw the little meeting between Ichibei and Yhwach activated his Blood Vena. And when he started speaking to Ichibei, he said that I want to know who is responsible for splitting the three worlds. Also, going back and watching that snippet, I got a lot of backstory into one package. For one, when Ichibei was explaining that to Yhwach, we also got a flashback that it almost seems as if the Soul King kind of like erased everyone's mind before he split the three worlds. Because we saw Yhwach as a young figure, and then he got banished down and he regressed back to a child, almost as if he was reincarnated into the real world, but the new three worlds. Now, that's more backstory. I think they're going to expand in Core 4. Like, what was Yhwach doing with his father? Was he, like, almost next in line? Was he always meant for him to protect the three worlds? That's another thing, too, because I feel as if there was no other person that could have replaced the Soul King. It's almost as if, what's that thing called? Presentive genitor, which means whenever a monarch steps down, the next person that is next in line, it could be their child, or it could be one of their kids, or a lineage of the family is next in line to take over the throne. We even saw the primitive form of Pernita, Panjas. Now, I'm not sure if it's Yhwach that named him that, due to the fact that we know that all of the Soul King parts are sentient. When they got cut off, they almost became other hierarchies of deities. It almost feels as if they became different life forms, and then the highest life form, when you connect them all together, was basically the Soul King himself. Now, the primal form of Pernita was merged with Ichibei, Now, combining them two together, it almost felt as if Pernita had a different ability compared to his compulsory abilities, where all of the Soul King parts are so powerful that even Yhwach's Almighty cannot see through that. Now, is it because he has a different, higher level of abilities than the original, person that has the Almighty? We also know that Ichibei said that, you can never see through what the Soul King's body parts could do. And Pernita and his primitive form, which is his merge form, was so strong that it actually sealed Yhwach's Almighty. But what's creepy is that Yhwach, when he took the arms back, he almost merged Pernita with his body. So that's also something too. How come Pernita got weakened over time? It feels as if the reason why some of the Soul King parts get super strong is that if one of the parts gets merged, they almost like Jinchuriki in Naruto. When a Jinchuriki is merged with its host, it's much stronger. It's almost like if their power could be more direct compared to if they're like doesn't have a host, they just throwing their powers anywhere. So during the episode of the Holy Newborn, when Yhwach finished absorbing the lower and upper half of the Soul King, we saw that he engulfed himself in darkness, like the almost looked like this pit of like cloud that spewed down to the Serite, and that it got me thinking, did Adonaeus had an ability where he could make the world a whole, or it could just absorb it into darkness? We know that each part of the Soul King governs a certain part, and I think the reason why we saw so much advancement into the volt standish of the Quincy's was due to Pernita's ability of advancement. So I think Pernita has three abilities. One, which is basically the stalemate ability of the compulsory, right? And then the second ability is the advancement thing, where I think that was the reason why it almost seemed as if Pernita could speed up time to advance it. And I think that's how Yhwach got resurrected anyway. I think Yhwach would have been dead for good if not absorbing Pernita. We also got, like, when the Soul King was floating in the air, Yhwach basically had each of the Quincy's had a Quincy sword, and it seems as if each of those Quincy's had an ability that was able to crush the chrysalis that was holding the Soul King in the first place, even though the Soul King got split in two by Ichigo. And then the royal palace itself was turned into the Quincy symbol, basically indicating the reverse tetragram, almost indicating like the Quincy's that are now are like the new noble families, and Yhwach, Haschwald is like Ichibei, and Yhwach is now the new Soul King. So it almost mirrors what we already seen before. Now, even though Yhwach absorbed the soul, his father, all of those crazy eyes, I think that we're gonna get more backstory on, even though the Soul King is now absorbed by his son, I think he is still fighting to create some sort of an ability where he could be like in a stalemate. But like I said, the Almighty that the Soul King has is very, very powerful. Like I said, I can't wait to talk more about the primal form of Pernita, as well as Mimihage, as well as I want to talk about more of the Soul King parts. That'll be the last video, but this is gonna be it for now. I'll see you guys for part 2 of this video, which talks about Pernita and Mimihage. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.